Did you know that according to Bureau and Labor Statistics, our employee benefits account for 29.5% of our compensation? And if you're anything like me, you have likely left money on the table. So now is the time to stop doing that. We all want to have more money. And sometimes we don't always like going to work. But now let's learn how to make the most of the work and our income by maximizing our employee benefits. In this video, I'm going to teach you a stepwise approach to think about how you can get the most out of your employee benefits. That means the FSA, any type of employer match, all of those mental health, gym membership benefits that just go to waste. We're going to stop doing that today, and I'm going to teach you exactly how to utilize those benefits so that they can offset other expenses and help you to create more joy in your life. And the first step to maximize your employer benefits is to match your retirement contributions. Now, many employers offer a match in order to entice their employees to contribute to their retirement. And a lot of times when we think about our employer match, we think of it as free money. And honestly, sometimes it's free money. Like for me, my employer matches a portion of my salary, regardless if I make contributions to my retirement account or not. So if you have the same benefit with your employer, then you might want to think about how contributing to a retirement account or which retirement account to prioritize in maximizing your benefits and thinking about retirement planning. But if you're anything like most Americans who have a retirement match for their 401k or their 403b, you want to make sure that you're contributing up to that match. So I'm going to give you a few examples. Your employer may say that they will match 50% up to 6% of your salary. So if you contribute 6% of your salary, then your employer will match 50% of that. And sometimes they will give you a fixed amount. So they might say that they will match 25% of your retirement contributions up to the amount of $3,000, which means that you as an employee must contribute $12,000 in order to receive the total $3,000 match. And all of that money combined means that you will have $15,000 in your retirement account, your 403b or 401k for that year in order to receive the employer match. Regardless of what the process looks like and how it's defined, you definitely want to make sure that you are maxing out your retirement match. And if you don't know what you need to do in order to get the full match, then you need to look in your benefits packet or have a conversation with your HR representative so that you can make sure that you're getting the most from your money. And next up, in order to maximize your employer benefits, you want to assess insurance options carefully. This means that you not only think about health, dental, vision, but you also really and critically appraise your short-term disability benefits and your long-term disability benefits. As a woman in healthcare, I personally get short-term disability from my employer, but I have long-term disability independently with a separate company. Now, if you are at an institution that will give you insurance, your long-term disability insurance for free, then you can have it from an independent company and from your employer. Remember, you want to dive into the details to understand what is covered in that short-term disability definition and the long-term disability definition. Also, you want to be able to appraise those health insurance plans, dental insurance plans, and vision insurance plans very, very carefully. If you're someone who never had problems with your eyes or has ever had any issues with your vision, maybe you don't need vision insurance. And if you're someone who's really, really healthy, then perhaps you want to go for a high deductible healthcare plan. That's what we have chosen because we are typically a healthy family, and my employer will help me to offset some of the costs of my high deductible healthcare plan. So for me, it is a no-brainer. So remember, high deductible healthcare plans have their own pros and cons. And some of the benefits of having the healthcare plan, specifically if you are a healthy family, means lower costs. Lower costs not only when you go to the doctor because you're not going to be using the doctor, but lower premiums that you will pay for this high deductible healthcare plan. Also, there's greater flexibility because you can typically choose a lot of the specialists that you want to go to without having the same referral process that might be necessary for other health insurance plans. But if you're someone with a chronic illness who uses the healthcare system frequently, then you will have a higher deductible, meaning you will have to pay more of each of those visits. So therefore, a high deductible healthcare plan may not be the best option for you. Again, the second step in maximizing your benefits is assessing insurance options carefully. So you want to assess them according to your needs and according to your financial goals. The next step in maximizing your benefits is to explore student loan repayment options and tuition options. Perhaps you want to go back to school to get better education. Perhaps you just want to pay down your debt like I did, and you're like, I need to figure out how to get rid of this debt. Then you definitely want to look at what your employer offers. A lot of your employers might offer some type of loan repayment option that if you work for the employer for a specific amount of time, or you work in a specific clinic, demographic, or discipline department, then you might get some type of benefit. I know that this has helped many of my clients to pay down their debt faster because their employer offered loan repayment. So it helped them to offset the cost of their student loans. Additionally, if you're interested in pursuing another degree, then you want to look at what assistance could your employer provide you. That could help you to offset some of those future expenses so that you don't have to take out student loans to build up your clinical acumen or your skill sets to help you to achieve that next goal. And the next step is the one that I really appreciate that we have done, and that is to invest in an HSA. My employer helps me to invest in an HSA by giving me additional funds to offset the healthcare costs. But the real beauty of an HSA, and I need to like really spend some time on an HSA, but essentially it is triple tax advantage. So let me give you a breakdown. When I invest in an HSA, that means that that money is pre-tax dollars. I never pay taxes on that money. And when I use it for qualified healthcare expenses, it will not be taxed when it's used for qualifying healthcare expenses. But the greatest benefit of an HSA is that you can invest that money. So I actually don't even use the money that my employer gives me now. Basically, what I do is I take that additional money, I invest it in the stock market, and every time I go to the pharmacy, like I recently went to the pharmacy to get some medication for my daughter, then what I'll do is take a picture of the receipts using an Adobe app. This is not sponsored by Adobe, but if you want to sponsor me, then hello. Using the Adobe app, and I literally have a folder that says HSA receipts, and I continue to add receipts to that folder. Every now and again, probably every quarter, I will send myself an email with that folder and all of the receipts, just in case something happens to the Adobe app and I lose all of my files, then it is right there. Now, during retirement, after that money has had so much time to grow and increase because of investing, I could submit those receipts even from decades prior to get my reimbursement. So I don't pay any taxes on that money now. I don't pay any taxes when I invest it because it's in a tax deferred account, nor will I pay taxes when I use it as long as it's used for qualifying expenses. So remember, in order to have an HSA, you have to have a high deductible healthcare plan. And if you're someone who is healthy, then you definitely want to have a high deductible healthcare plan and an HSA. And you can talk to your provider and look in your benefits packet to see if they will offset the cost of that high deductible healthcare plan via contribution to your HSA. The next way that we leave money on the table and that we can maximize our benefits is by making use of professional development funds. If you are a nurse practitioner, a physician, a therapist, someone else, you likely have some funds that you can use from your employer that will help you to continue your medical education or continuing education funds. Although we have the funds available, sometimes we don't always use them, and I'm sorry, I'm guilty of this. I left $1,000 on the table last year. $1,000. I mean, I could have taken a trip, gone to a conference, and then vacationed. That's a free hotel and a free flight. I left money on the table. So don't be like me. Make sure you understand how much money you have for professional development and also how that money is allocated, because I decreased my time. I was part-time at one point in time, and so I got a smaller amount. Now that I have become full-time, working 90%, I get the full amount, but they did not increase my amount until I asked for it. And you want to understand when you have to use the money by. I encourage you to use the money early, because sometimes you can't go to the conference if you have the money that needs to be used in 2 weeks or so. Sometimes you can't even use it for a laptop or other things. So you want to make the most out of your money. And for me, that's going on a trip and to a conference. But really going on a trip and being able to use that money to pay for my flights, hotel, and enjoy a little bit of my life. It offsets a cost, right? And if we're thinking about maximizing our time, our energy, and money, then you definitely want to make use of the professional development funds. Now you want to inquire about flexibility and perks. So this means your PTO. Do you know 1/3 of Americans do not consume their paid time off? 1/3 of Americans do not consume their paid time off. You can use it for anything. If you're sick, use it. If your kids are sick, use it. If you just want to sleep in on the couch, use your paid time off. So understand how many paid time off days you have, and somewhere keep track of how many you have used. And if you don't know how many you've used, send a message to your boss or your manager to understand how many more days you have available to you. Remember, this is a benefit. And I know as a woman in healthcare, like even when we are sick, we don't like to call in because we don't want to burden someone else. But this is a benefit that is available to you. So use it wisely. Look at your schedule to see when is an opportunity. If you don't get sick by this date, then you're going to take these days off. This is time for you to recover, to rejuvenate, and to enjoy more of your life. And I'm sorry, it's use it or lose it, and let's stop losing it, okay? So let's use our paid time off. Also, another perk that I personally have not taken advantage of is using the gym membership benefit. So I'm going to email my HR with all of my receipts from the YMCA and use that benefit. Now, it's not a lot of money, but it's still something to offset the cost. And the next step is to zero in on your retirement contributions beyond the match. When we're thinking about how to maximize our retirement, how to decrease our expenses, you might have access to other accounts such as a cash balance plan, such as a 457B. Now, these accounts are very specific, and you want to make sure that you're being very strategic in your utilization of those accounts. But for me, it helps me to save about $7,000 plus every year on taxes, while also increasing my savings rate. So if you're interested in being financially independent and retiring early, this might be a strategy that you can utilize to build that wealth faster, to pay less on taxes. And oftentimes these additional accounts that can be used for retirement may not have the same stipulations as a 401k or a 403b. So you might be able to take that money out earlier and use it for an early retirement. So you want to find out what other retirement accounts and benefits you might not be taking advantage of so you can zero in on those. And the last step is to evaluate and reevaluate your benefit utilization frequently. I would recommend that you do this at least twice a year. Once during open enrollment, and we know that that's on its way, and again midway, because you might have put money into a flexible spending account, HSA, or other accounts that you might have to use. Maybe you've used a dependent FSA where you can use that money, $5,000, for any dependent care. If you're taking care of an elderly family member or a child, then you want to make sure that you get your reimbursement for those expenses early on. Honestly, the year goes by and we forget about all of the money that we put away for other uses that we can employ today. So just like your employer gives you all of these employment benefits, I want you to start employing those benefits so that you can make your money work for you and you can create a life that you love. And Not only should you reevaluate and evaluate your employer benefits, but one of the things that you should also evaluate and reevaluate often are your financial goals. And if you fail to do that, you will feel financially stressed as if you don't have enough and wonder where all of your money is going. So in this new year, I want to teach you how to create better financial goals that you will stick with. Subscribe to my channel and watch the next video where I will teach you exactly how to do it and why some people fail to do it. Well, we're not doing the failure thing here, okay? So watch this video. See you on the next one.